Hello viewer, a warm welcome to Elimu TV where you watch and learn. I am your teacher, Madam Christine Okoth, taking you through the 9th lesson of Biology Form 2, and today we're going to learn about mammalian circulatory system. So let us have a preview of what you're going to learn in this lesson today. So today we're going first to review the previous lesson and the assignment that I gave you. Next, we're going to look at the components of the mammalian system. We're also going to look at the structure and the function of the heart. And lastly, I'm going to give you the assignment. So let us start by reviewing the previous assignment. On the last lesson, we were discussing, or rather we were learning about the closed circulatory system and the open circulatory system. And the assignment was question number 1. What is the difference between open blood circulatory and closed circulatory system? And we discussed about that, and we say that closed circulatory blood, the blood will always stay in the vessel all the time, and the body tissues are not in any way contact with the blood. Whereas in the open circulatory, the body tissues are always in contact with the blood, and the blood is in the fluid cavity that we call the hemocoel. Then question number 2 was, name the types of the blood vessel which are found in blood. The main 3 types of blood vessels, we have 1, the arteries, 2, we have and 3, we have the capillaries. So we're going to learn about this in the other lessons. So that is what you expected of you in your assignment. So let us now look at the mammalian system. So the mammalian system, that is the circulatory system, comprises of the following things. Number 1, we have the powerful muscular heart, and we have the blood vessels that we have named. We have the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries. And lastly, we have the blood. So these are the 3 main things that make up of the mammalian circulatory system. And I can compare the mammalian system and the human body like a train. We all know this, the Rift Valley Railways train. So for example, if I can compare the train is like a human body. The train will work where there is the engine. The engine must be incorporated in the train. Without the engine, the train cannot work. So the engine is like the heart in the mammalian system. Then we have different compartments. We have different compartments in the train. So these compartments, I will liken them to the blood vessels that we have. And lastly, we have the blood. The blood, I will compare it with the passengers, because the blood will carry nutrients and oxygens from one part of the body to the other. Just the same as the passengers, they will be picked from one station and dropped to the other station. So I'll compare the system of a human being, the circulatory system, with a train. We've said the engine will resemble the heart. The train is the whole human bodies, the compartments are the blood vessels, and lastly, the passengers are like the blood, they pick and drop. The blood also will pick items like the nutrients and the oxygen from one part of the body to the other parts of the body where they are needed. So I'm going to introduce a video. First, we would like to know what the human heart comprises of. So we're going to dissect a sheep, so that you can physically, or rather just know at how the structure of the heart looks like. The structure of the sheep is just the same like that one, the structure of the human heart. All the components are the same. So let us have this video and help us understand more about what is found inside the mammalian heart.
Today we're going to do a heart dissection. This is not a human heart, but a sheep's heart. But it looks and works exactly like a human heart as well. It's just a little smaller. So if you want, you can think of this heart like the heart of a child. First of all, let's take a look at the outside. You can see there's some hematoma, some bleedings in here, so the heart has obviously received some trauma during or after slaughtering, but that's not gonna be an issue for our dissection. So let's look at the anatomy first. You will find that one bit of the heart is really tender to pressure, while the other side is really hard and cannot be pushed in easily. This here is the right ventricle, and this is the left ventricle. And what you can see here, that is lined with fat, is a coronary artery, so that is the blood supply for the heart itself. And as you can see, we have a lot of openings within the heart. So let's first of all see where they all lead. Let's start off with this big one here. I will insert a probe into it. Now let's see that I am pushing into the right ventricle. This tells me that I must be in the pulmonary trunk over here and going into the right ventricle. Now let's choose another opening, like this one over here. You will see that those two are connected. You can see it's connected. All those three parts are connected. So let's see where that one goes. And you can probably see the wall is pretty thick, but I am poking into the left ventricle here. So that is actually the aorta that I am in. And it has different branches. The aortic arch would go down there and supply the body and the organs with blood. The other one would go down, would go up to the brain, and the one on the side, the major one on the side, would also supply the arms. So let's take a look what this here is. You can see I'm pushing through it, and I'm obviously inside the atrium here and pushing through into also the right ventricle. So this one here must be the vena cava. I'm at the heart's atrium and into the ventricle. And there must be one on the other side. So let's see. Yep, here I am in the left atrium. I'm pushing down into the left ventricle from there. And that's how it would work. The blood would first flow into the atria, which are those things here, and then they contract, be pushed into the ventricles, and then the ventricles would contract like that and push the blood out through the aorta or the pulmonary trunk here. And that's how it works. First, the aorta would also supply, as I said, the coronary arteries, which are over here. See this one very nicely. I will try. There are actually multiple openings, as you can see. This is the aorta, as I said, and the heart supplies itself with blood through the coronary arteries, because it obviously needs a lot of oxygen to work. It's a very strong muscle. So let's see if we can access that coronary artery. And we're in, going somewhere, and you can see we're coming out right here in the left ventricle. So we're obviously inside a branch of the coronary artery that supplies this bit of the left ventricle. Let's see where else we can go. Trying it from this side again. Just a little cup to cheat. Now we opened the coronary artery. I'll try and straighten my catheter, pseudo catheter again, and you can see I'm within the very thin walls of the what is it here? Yeah, the left coronary artery. You can see it bends down there. A real catheter would of course follow this band, but I'm probably just going to do damage and pinch the walls, so it can't really go further. But yeah, it gives you an idea. So let us try and open up the right ventricle, the right atrium, by making an incision starting from the vena cava. And there you can see the opened atrium over here, and the valve that enters the right ventricle, and the opened right ventricle over here. Has a little blood clot inside. So let's try and open up the left ventricle in the same way. And as you can see, the walls are really thick. And that is easily to be seen on first glance. The really thick walls on this one versus the really thin wall on the right ventricle. That's the easiest way to tell apart the left and right side of the heart, really, because you can see thin wall, really thick wall. You can see this is the valve. This is one part of it, and the other part of it, and you can imagine when it was shut like that, and the blood would flow through, fill the heart, and as the heart beats, contracts, this valve would shut and close the ventricle, the left ventricle, close it off from the left atrium. So the only way for the blood to be ejected is through the aorta. Let's see where that is again. You can see this in the back here, behind the mitral valve is where the aorta goes off. Let's see if we can open that one up. So the blood goes into the atrium, from there it goes into the left ventricle, the one with the thick walls, and then it goes out that way into the aorta and into the body. And for the other side of the heart, you remember we had an entrance here as well. So you can see this over here, and there we're in the pulmonary trunk, and entering the right ventricle from that. I'll try and cut down on this as well. There you can even see the valve here. You can see it's a very tiny thin valve that is right on my pen over here. So the blood would on this side go into the right atrium, into the right ventricle, and as the ventricles contract, the valve here closes and shuts off the atrium. So the only way for the blood to eject, to leave the right ventricle, is through the pulmonary valve and pulmonary trunk over here. So again, this is what a closed heart would look like, sort of.
Hi there! Can you guess what I am? I'll give you a hint. I have a very important job inside your body, and your heart helps me to do my job. I'm a red blood cell. My job is so important that you'll thank me for it later. But I can't take all the credit. Without your heart, I couldn't do a thing. You see, I'm like a little delivery truck in your body. I pick up and drop things off all the time. I ride the highways of something called the circulatory system. I like to call it the circle system because I keep going in circles. This system is made of your heart and blood vessels that carry your blood to different areas of your body. Your blood vessels are like tiny tunnels that run all through your body. They are made up of arteries that take oxygen to places in your body and veins that take carbon dioxide from your body to your lungs. This is my highway. But I can't move by myself. I move within your blood when it moves. How does your blood move, you ask? Why, your heart pumps it. Let me show you how. Your heart is the most important muscle in your body. It moves by itself, and even though you can hardly feel it, it keeps moving all the time, even when you are sleeping. Want to feel your heart move? Sit very still and put your hand on your chest. If you're running hard or exercising, you might find it easier to feel. When your heart moves, it's called a heartbeat. Your heart makes at least 100,000 heartbeats every day. When your heart beats, it pulls blood into it and pushes it out again. This helps the blood to move fast enough to go through your whole body and back. And it helped me to pick up my deliveries and take them to different places in your body. I'm not alone in there. There are lots of red blood cells just like me doing the same thing in your body all the time, even now while I'm talking to you. Here's me at the start of my little journey. I just got back from dropping off some things to some places in your body. I need to get some more speed to do more deliveries, so I ride your bloodstream into your heart. Going through the heart is easy because the heart has special rooms and doors that only open one way. Right now, I am entering the right side of the heart. I go through the first room called the right atrium, through the first door called the tricuspid valve, and through the second room called the right ventricle, and through the second door called the pulmonary valve. The heartbeat causes the heart to squeeze the blood in these rooms into the next area. It pushes the blood through it and into the arteries, like tunnels, that lead to other parts of the body. So now I am moving a little faster because the heart has given me a push. Now I need to go and pick up the things I need to deliver. My first stop is to the lungs. I need to pick up a little oxygen molecule to take to some place in the body. Everybody needs oxygen. Our lungs bring it into our body, and then I pick it up and take it to where it's needed. It seems like it would be tricky to pick up the oxygen, but the lungs really help me with that job. You see, here in the body, we all work together and cooperate to keep everything running smoothly. When I get to the lungs, I'm not really this big, it's just easier to see me this way. And I get really close to the sides of my little tunnel. The oxygen that is sort of floating out of the walls nearby just jumps onto me for the ride. When enough of it has hopped on and I can't hold anymore, then I'm ready to go back to the heart for another push. Know what? This all happened so fast that it's even faster than blinking. So now, this time, I need to go on the other side of the heart. This side is for all of us red blood cells that are carrying oxygen. The heart pushes us a little farther this time because some of us have a very long trip. I go in through the first room called the left atrium, through the mitral valve doorway, and into the left ventricle room to get my big push. Then out I go and on my journey. I like my job because I get to travel. Here I am making a delivery in the foot area. All I have to do is draw near to the tunnel wall and the oxygen will just jump out of my truck and squeeze out of the tunnel. It's pretty neat to watch. While this is happening, I also make another pickup. Carbon dioxide needs to be taken up to the lungs so that the body can get rid of it by breathing out. And I'm just the cell to do it. I grab some and off I go again. Going back up to the heart is a little tricky because I need to ride up. It's kind of like climbing a hill. Because of this, the veins have little trapdoors called valves that only open one way. This stops me from floating in the wrong direction. So I keep going up and up as the heart keeps beating and pushing the bloodstream along. Eventually, I get back to the heart again where I get ready to drop off the carbon dioxide in the lungs and get a good push to get me going on another pickup. So that's my job. What do you think? Pretty important, isn't it? The heart really helps me to do my job well.
I hope you have enjoyed that video. So let us break down what you have learned in that video. So you've looked at the structure of the sheep's heart. So the first thing you've noticed, so this is a structure which is made of very special muscles we call the cardiac muscle. If you look at our structure, that's the structure of the heart, the same as you've seen in that video. So the heart, we say it is a muscular organ which is located in the chest cavity within the lungs. The size of the chest is just like the same as when you close your fist. The size of a closed fist is the same as the size of a human heart. Where is it located? It is located in the chest cavity. So that is a structure of a human heart. You can see the blood vessels. You can see we have different compartments which we are going to learn about. So the first structure, if you look at the heart, the first structure that you'll observe is what we call the pericardial membrane. That is the outer line of the heart. You can see it in our video, the outer lining, the most outer lining of the heart. So what is the function of pericardial membrane? Number one, it secretes a fluid which acts as a lubricant. The second function, it acts as a shock absorber. So the membrane is covered with a thick layer of fat that helps it to absorb shock because the heart has to be protected. Next function of the pericardial membrane, it helps to keep the heart in position. So those are just among the function of the pericardial membrane, a very important membrane in the human heart. Another structure you might have noticed when you're looking at the video on dissecting the heart of the sheep is something we call the septum. So septum is a wall which is found between the two sides of the heart. That is the left side of the heart and the right side of the heart. If you can look at our diagram here, the septum is just that wall which is between the right ventricle and the left ventricle. So the function of the septum, so we have said that this is a wall that will separate the right side of the heart and the left side of the heart. So what exactly is the function? We know that on the right side of the heart we find the deoxygenated blood, and the left side of the heart we find oxygenated blood. So the main purpose of the septum is to prevent the mixing of deoxygenated blood and the oxygenated blood. Another visible structure that you will see in the mammalian system is what we call the ventricles and the auricles. These are the compartments. So the heart is subdivided into 4 parts. So we have the upper chambers, which we call the auricles, and in singular we call the atria. So the upper chamber, they are called the auricles. Then the lower chamber are what we call the ventricles. So still on the auricles and the ventricles, the auricles are the upper parts, so they are made of very thin wall. Their function is to receive blood into the heart, which they pump into the ventricle. We're going to look at the structure, what the auricles do when you do the next lesson on the circulatory of the blood. Then the ventricles, we say they are the lower part of the heart. They are made of very thick wall. So note the difference. The auricles are made of a thin wall, whereas the ventricles are made of the thick wall. The function is also different. The ventricles will pump blood out of the heart. Another structure that you will see in the mammalian system, that is the heart, something we call the cardiac muscle. So there are 2 types of muscle which are found in the heart. If you look at our diagram there, that is where the muscles are located. So the main function, number 1, we have they contract continuously without fatigue. This is the reason why the heart can beat for a lifetime without getting tired. So these muscles, they will always be contracting without getting tired. Then we also say these muscles are myogenic. This means that the heart contraction are started by the muscle itself and not like the other muscles tissue in the body. So this one, they start by themselves, and also we say that they contract without getting tired. Another visible structure that we may observe in the mammalian heart, we have the valves. So the main function of the valves is to control the direction of blood flowing inside the heart. Rather, they make sure that there's no backflow of blood from one chamber to the other. So we have two main types of valves. We have the anteroventricular valves. So that is the bicuspid and the tricuspid. If you can observe the situation here, we have the tricuspid valve and then we have the bicuspid valve. Then we have the two semilunar valves. One is found on the aorta. So we have the aortic semilunar valve and we have the pulmonary semilunar valves. And we've said the sole function of the valves is to prevent the backflow of blood. So the tricuspid valve, where is it found? It is found on the right side of the heart. So you can observe in the illustration, the right side of the heart is where it is painted blue. So the main function, it will prevent the backflow of blood into the right auricle. Then we have bicuspid valve. Where is it located? It is found on the left side of the heart. The function is to prevent the backflow of blood into the left auricle. So these ones are just the opposite. So one is found on the left side of the heart and the other one is found on the right side of the heart. Then we have the two semilunar valves we talked. So there are two of them. So when they open, they will allow blood to move from the ventricles into the arteries and away from the heart. Like when they open up, there will be blood that will be taken to the lungs. So the semilunar valves prevent the backflow of blood. So that has been our lesson for today. And for your assignment, what are some of the observable features of the heart? So you've looked at the structure of the heart, you've watched that video. State or rather list the observable features of the heart. So thank you for watching. That has been our lesson. Remember, you can write to us or you can ask any question, you need any clarification. Our Facebook page is Elimu TV. Our Twitter handle is @Elimu_KE. Teacher Madam Christine Okoth, and see you in the next lesson.